After the towers appeared all over the world, the heads of countries actively thought about what to do with it, and at the same time, congratulations, you have been chosen as the Wanderer of the Tower, the savior of mankind. Do you accept the challenge? People who accepted the challenge and got into the tower received support from the interface system, and became able to acquire skills and items just like in the game. Except it wasn't a game. Screens appeared in front of the walkers that showed what was happening outside. At first, nothing unusual, just workers building something around. But what's up there on the tower? A man. No, it definitely wasn't human. The attack of monsters from the tower was its influence on the outside world. Of course, the army tried to stop the monsters, but modern weapons simply did not work against them. As a result, 1/3 of the population was destroyed. The people inside the tower could only watch impotently, until finally, one of them understood the meaning of the system's message. We need to climb up and save humanity. Strong and brave people were the last hope. The walkers have launched their offensive to prevent the end of the world. After passing the 77th floor, one of the strongest teams was blocked by a boulder. They tried to break it, and the guys really did it. It turned out that this boulder is the reward for passing the floor, because its fragments began to glow. The Stone of Return. The stone allows you to return to the past. The memory of the person who used the stone will be preserved. The stone needs to be broken to activate. The captain of the first team, Huang Inchang, decided to use the artifact and tell what he would see. As soon as his fingers crushed the stone, the comrades were literally blinded, and Huang simply disappeared. Only a clot of light remained from him. A former scientist from Japan, Sekimoto, put forward his hypothesis. Most likely Inshin really went to the past. But he will not be able to return to the team, because now there has been a gap in time-space. The captain moved into the past, literally created a new story. The guys were very surprised, but Sekimoto knew them too well. The Debiki did not understand anything. So the scientist explained it easier. Huang Inchang really went to the past, but their present will not change from this. The objects in the tower have never lied in their description. If Sekimoto's theory is correct, then most likely everyone who uses the return stone will fall into the same world. Then there was another tower strike. The monsters broke out. There were so many of them that the nearest cities had to fall on the same day. Before the world is destroyed, the walkers must find a solution, whether they use the Stone of Return and travel to the past, or stay in the tower and die. Another squad ran into a monstrous floor boss. The creature was disgusting and incredibly strong. Two of the team decided that it was definitely time for them to use the stones. The captain stood silently while the return lights flashed around him. The last member of his squad apologized, after which he also left this world. Falling to his knees, the guy just resigned himself to his fate, and when he was ready to accept death, he appeared. After killing the boss in just a second, the savior asked the guy with a smile if he was okay, and then the rest of the squad appeared. Their captain, seeing that all the jerks had run away, thanked the guy for deciding to stay. They were the hope of humanity, the ones who didn't use the Stone of Return. A squad that is responsible for the fate of the whole world. The Carp team is idiom, which means catch the moment. At what point did everything go wrong? The boss of the 85th floor was strong. Yun Wan and Zhou Wang attacked him from both sides and together defeated the monster. As it turned out later, fortunately there were no victims among the team, only wounded. Looking at this, there is even a feeling that they will be able to get to the last floor. The wound-licking team was overjoyed to hear this. Jewan, who waved them back, noticed a dropped sword on the floor. Dragon Sword Suppression. A sword imbued with the energy of the sun and moon, which the Tiger Ghost Master of the 85th floor forged in 1,000 days. To kill a dragon. Finally, the hero has a stronger weapon. As Yun said, they have every chance to get to the last floor. Jaewon really thought so until he got to the 98th floor, in the Purgatory Chamber. Death, death. Only she was waiting for her comrades. The hero got lost, and caught a powerful slap that sent him into the wall. Having crushed the stone with his body, Jeff coughed up some blood, his gaze began to empty. The thought flashed through my head, it's useless. Everything they went through together was for the sake of dying so stupidly. When the monster was about to belch lava at the hero, Yun Wan appeared behind him. His daggers cut through the monster's armor and inflicted dozens of cuts. Then the guy gathered all the strength in his legs and bounced off the opponent. "I can't handle him alone, Captain," Yun yelled, and at that moment, the monster turned around. For Jiwen, the world seemed to freeze. Yuno's arm weakened as the monster's horn pierced his side. As soon as the hero shouted the name of a friend, the boss took a running start and rammed the wall with his horn at full speed. Jay froze from the realization of what had happened, but after a moment, he pulled himself together. He rushed forward, and during the movement, noticed a line of light leading to the vulnerable part of the monster. It flashed through the guy's head, and then the hero overtook the boss with one jump. The monster has fallen. The body exuding magma began to gradually harden. "Let's go, Yunwan." There was no response. One of the last participants is the smiling knight Kim Yunwan. The guy got his nickname because a smile never left his face. Even in this ill-fated tower, there was a stone in Yun's hands. "You. Sorry, Jaewon. Go away. Just get in before I change my mind." The hero slowly walked towards the door leading to the stairs to the 99th floor, and June stared at his back. He still believed in the captain and wanted to follow him. The stone that he was holding in his hands was actually ordinary. This is not a regression artifact. Barely getting to his feet, the smiling knight, leaning on the wall, began to return back. His wound cannot be cured with a simple potion. A high-level priest is needed here, which have not been left for a long time. All Yun could do was believe that Jaewon would pass the tower. Smiling for the last time, the guy pushed off and fell from the window. At the moment when the mangled body of a friend fell, the hero was already standing in front of the gate to the 99th floor. Memories of Yun Wang popped up in his mind. "Let's move on." The gate swung open, and an icy blizzard hit Jaewon in the face. The next floor is a snowy plain. Jiwon barely managed to sneak away and hide from the dragon. "I decided to play hide and seek again." "That bastard?" The hero has been stuck on the 99th floor for 10 years. It was difficult on the 98th, but it doesn't even compare with this ice lizard. The boss is the ice dragon Vilchises. His breath is difficult to withstand, even having a resistance to the cold of the highest level. If it wasn't for the equipment of fallen comrades, Jaewon would have died long ago. The dragon sword from the 85th floor, the ice demon armor given by Yun Wan Yi, the flaming king's bracelet, Hans and Yul. The hero even now seemed to feel her presence. He apologized to the ghost of the past. If only Jiwa was stronger. Jiwon. "Oh yeah, sorry, I was thinking." The blacksmith asked the hero if he wanted to try again. After taking a sip from the mug, Huang said that this time he would definitely cope. And his interlocutor was the blacksmith of Autoposa J, a settlement founded after defeating the boss of the 50th floor. Despite the fact that the dead or wounded were brought in every day, people did not lose hope. Priests founded rescue units to rescue the wounded, and blacksmiths forged equipment for those who fought in the name of humanity. Unfortunately, Jay remained the last artisan in the Autopose, and Jiwon was the last walker for whom the old man worked. Recently, supplies from the lower floors are no longer coming in. This was to be expected. The hero does not even know what year it is now. In addition, there have already been more than 10 tremors. At some point, people stopped climbing the tower. The first floor was empty. "I think humanity was destroyed," the hero said sadly. Jay didn't say anything to that. Then the blacksmith decided to change the subject and asked if Liwen noticed anything strange while he was studying the tower. But if you think about it, where the stone of return was found, there was a strange inscription, in the language of the tower, a tower within a tower. A nightmare within a nightmare. But to be honest, the hero did not understand what this means. By the way, the language of the tower is a common language that people learned themselves to communicate with citizens of other countries. As people from all over the world came here, Jaewon also remembered that Halen's grandmother disappeared 2 days ago. Time doesn't go by in this place, so if someone is missing, there can only be 2 reasons. The missing person either returned to the past or jumped off the tower. Hylan and Jay were the few remaining walkers. The blacksmith's hammer began to knock louder and louder, distracting the hero from his thoughts. Then Huang asked the old man to teach him his skill. How many years have passed since that moment, fuck knows. Not a single person has reached the 99th floor alone since the appearance of the tower. You really are amazing. The last thing Yewon would want is a confession from a monster. Although, he will be lonely after the death of the dragon. I'm sorry, but that's not possible. What makes you think that, lizard? Even the armor you're so proud of has already cracked. The mouth of Vilgesis gaped, and a deadly breath was ready to escape from it. A huge beam of energy shot into the sky, and a second later there was a crash. Drops of blood sprinkled the white snow. The hero's arm and leg were nailed to the wall with ice. You decided to fight to the end. Even if you hold out, you will still only get imperious loneliness. Icy hands began to reach out to Jowon. Hundreds of ghosts desperately called him to them. Hey, do you talk a lot? Breaking the ice shackles, the hero, overcoming the pain, tore and rushed forward, like his blade. I decided to use the lunge again, after the stupid chatter. Give up, man. You can't win alone. Jewon came to the tower later than the others. Because of this he missed a lot of skills and hidden skills. So he decided to abandon all skills, and focus on only one thing, a lunge. The hero used it again and again. With the help of this attack, more than 50 million monsters were killed. The comrades thought that lunge was Jewon's middle name. Over time, the skill changed, became faster, more accurate and stronger, and eventually became more effective than hidden skills. This technique is not a skill, so it does not take mana or energy, respectively. Javan does not get tired during the fight. But even despite this, it is very difficult for him now. Only a scratch appeared on the dragon's armor after 100 attacks. The monster opened its mouth to finish off the man. It's too late to dodge. And this. Is it there again? A white thread that he had already seen. Jewon does not know. Maybe once in 1,000 or 1,000,000 attacks she appeared, and the hero could follow the light. To release the power of 1,000 such attacks in one blow. Realizing that this was a chance, Huang tightened his grip on the sword, and dealt a crushing blow to Arif. Jumping back, he barely braked. The dragon, whose face was smashed, and his eye was knocked out, was furious. Damn, and that wasn't enough. I should have taken your head off. Don't confess from one blow. This time I'm going to wipe you off the face of the earth forever. The icy breath became much more massive. It literally beat all over the floor. It was simply impossible to stand against such a thing. At some point, Jewon was cornered. What a pity, man. Be with you at least 10 people like you. If people had not been deceived by the dream demon stone, things would have been different. What are you talking about? Instead of answering, the hero received a blow with a huge clawed paw, but only Huang managed to sneak away, and got to the exit from the floor. Closing the door, he could barely catch his breath. The hero was one step away from death. The HP strip was at a minimum. But what was this lizard talking about? The dream demon stone. 5 years later, half of the dragon's head just collapsed to the ground. A new title. You have successfully captured the 99th floor. Your level has reached the limit. Endurance, combat abilities, agility have reached the limit. Jewon brushed away all the messages, and why are there so many of them? My finger hurts already. Hey you, what is a dream stone? You already know the answer to your question. You'll understand. On the top floor. After the death of the dragon dropped the blade. The ice dragon sword. A sword soaked in the breath of the ice dragon Vilgesis. The tip of the sword understands when the owner shows readiness for battle. This pussy doesn't look much like a sword, the hero thought, and at that moment, he noticed how the dragon's blood began to boil. And then it turned into a door. At the top, the figure 100 was formed from the slurry. This is the last floor. Jewon walked forward without hesitation, after which the figure changed to the inscription, which was translated from the language of the tower as the control room. As soon as the hero's head seeped through the black muck, he saw 1,000 screens depicting places from the tower. He immediately realized that this picture reflects the current moment. Are you here already? Jewon grabbed, noticed alert. Don't be nervous. I completely forgot about you and didn't have time to prepare something. Maybe it looks good, but in fact the control systems are terrible. Congratulations. You are the first to have been trained by the 294th world. Your achievement has been recorded in the immortal notes of Akasha. The record will be visible by the monarch of the Great Earth. Reading the messages of the system, The hero could not understand. What kind of nonsense is this? The first one who has been trained. All the shit he's been through. Just training. At that moment, Jaewon was overwhelmed by black water, and a mysterious figure came out into the light. I hope you will soon recover from the shock, otherwise you will be consumed by emotions. Although I think it's too late. Don't worry, for a person, you have shown an excellent result. Which one? The wave that swept over the hero began to dissipate, and his gaze became cold again as before. You came to your senses a lot faster than I thought. Asshole, who are you anyway? I definitely forgot to introduce myself. I was just glad to see you. You reached the 100th floor alone. There have never been such. I'm a devil without a secret. And I am the master of the Tower of Nightmares. Jiwon asked if it was just training, then the game itself hadn't even started. Bestren grinned and praised the man for his guesswork, and then snapped his fingers. A video appeared on the screen, showing how Hwang first got into the tower, his passage, the moment when he joined the group with Il. You look so happy. I haven't seen this for a long time. You'll never see those faces again. Ah, here it is, here it is. It's coming.
Hey, Jaewon. It's good to look at each other. Fight.
With Yul, open your eyes. With Julia, please. How touching. I even let out a tear during the viewing. What do you think? Remember the tears, anger, regret. I'll give you a second chance. You will be able to complete the game again. The demon writhed around the hero, whispering persuasions to accept the opportunity to go through everything all over again, already knowing what awaits him. A thought flashed through Jiwon's mind. Didn't the system say that he would save the world after capturing the tower? Had he been deceived? All this time, people didn't have a chance to escape. All they could do was keep trying to capture, save humanity was a false hope. The silence was broken by the hero's voice. I think you already know I'm not going back in time. You're all about the past. Yes, I'll explain again. No object or phenomenon can send you into the past. Hwang objected, there is after all a stone of return. Then he remembered the words of the ice dragon about the stone of nightmares and the puzzle, which the hero had guessed before, finally took shape. Let me correct you. This is not a stone of return, but a stone of the demon of dreams. I'll digress a little from the narrative. There are some very important details in Renaba that were cut out in Manhwa, which makes the plot as a whole a little unclear. I usually don't like to make inserts and detach from the narrative, but believe me, it will be much clearer to you with my explanations. Firstly, a dialogue was cut out where Jiwon talks about a succubus from the 66th floor, who created an illusory world, and the walkers who succumbed to this raped their comrades. The hero also once fell under the spell and almost killed the walker, but everything went well. This shows that Jay is smart enough to dispel the illusion. And secondly, Vez Tren told about the Nightmare Stone only when Hwang named it himself. Up to this point, the demon believed that a person could not know about it, but as soon as he realized that the dragon had told the hero this, he immediately began to complain about the AI created by the monarchs. This information gives us a bit of exposure that all the monsters in the tower are artificial intelligence, most likely so developed that they can be considered living beings. And finally, thirdly, and most importantly, the next trend shows all the people who used the Nightmare Stone and their dreams. After which the hero of the Paranabi realizes that the tower is also an object, just very big, and touches it with his hands. Concentrates and his head starts to hurt, and then Jiwon sees description of the Tower of Nightmares. At this moment, he takes the first step towards understanding the universe, but for some reason, it was cut out in Manhwa. Well, we go back to the moment when the demon suggested starting a real game. A system alert popped up in front of the hero, where he was asked if he wanted to complete his training. I trust that you will make a reasonable decision. What? The system window began to evaporate, and Bistron was clearly nervous. Jaewon is already in the dream demon's dream, so he'll just kill this asshole and move on. Next. And then there is nothing. This is the end of the tower. But the hero no longer believed a single word, And while the demon was trying to say something, his throat was pierced by a lunge. His head fell off his shoulders. Very funny. Okay, what do you want? Hidden skill. I'll give you anything you want. I don't need anything. Don't you want to go back to your normal life? The demon snapped his fingers again and said that since Huang guessed that he was now in a nightmare tower dream, then he should have realized that there were no monsters. The system created a hologram of the real world, where people discussed everyday life as if nothing had happened. Then the world around him swept by at high speed, which is why the hero was in the car. Well, what did you do? No one died. Even this guy, who has been reading a novel for 10 years, calmly goes to work. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. After another snap of his fingers, Jaewon moved to the hospital room where he was lying. He himself. Decades have passed in the tower, but only a month has passed in the human world. You will never be able to defeat me. Understand, you barely passed the training. It's like trying to kill a dragon while being an ordinary person. Yeah, but Jiwon has already taken down one scaly one. The hero lunged again, and after a while, the whole beaten-up Jaewon returned to the 50th floor and greeted Jae. But he didn't get an answer. Then the hero began to forge on his own. 72 days had already passed, each of which Wang tried to win, but he couldn't even scratch the demon. On the other hand, he didn't die. For some reason, Tren doesn't want to kill him, but it plays into his hands. No matter how many days or years it takes, Jaewon won't back down. This picture was watched by a nervous demon. It is necessary to keep this product at all costs. It was the first time he had seen something like this in his entire career as a cultivator. Cultivators prepare the product for landing on the Great Earth. With the help of training, the selection of the best goods takes place. And then there is a second stage, where the products ripen in this game. But this guy just refuses to go to the second stage. In the tower, of course, you can safely kill a person, his soul will still be preserved, but without Tren, an unusual mob. His power can damage the soul, and if he does, the Reapers will definitely not just sit. Therefore, the demon wanted to urgently raise Jaewon and sell him to pay off the debt for the purchase of the tower. This product is so capable that even gods unrelated to the demon world have contacted Besterin. Once again, a guest came to the 100th floor and immediately attacked the owner. While the demon easily beat off all of Wang's attacks, he tried to convince him to just get down to the real game. With a snap of his fingers, the demon caused the landscape to change. A wall appeared in front of Jaewon, in the reflection of which he saw a demon. The hero tried to hit with a U-turn, but was immediately imprinted into the concrete. The demon's huge paw tightened on his throat. Just tell me, what do you want? I give you any skills or items. Why are you so stubborn? I'll kill you and move on. Yes, so that you're at it again. What can I do to get you to agree? Bingo. Jack Van waited until the demon lost his temper to ask for answers to some questions, of course, without Tren agreed, and began to talk about the fact that the universe does not consist of one dimension. Yes, Huang already knows this, he's not stupid, he also knew about parallel universes. Then the demon clarified that there is one main dimension and many alternative dimensions branch off from it. Earth is a small planet in a large system of dimensions consisting of alternatives. Huang's world number is 294. In the Tower of Nightmares, walkers who have acquired skills and gained a level will be able to adapt to the device of the Great Earth. And demons like Bistrin can control the game. Why would you do that? It's a good question, but I don't think that's what you really care about. A snap of fingers, and the couple was outside the tower. Probably, Jiwa is interested in why Bistrin chose the world 294. Why all the people? Huang's family faced this, right? Your world was randomly selected. Hey jerk, I asked why you're running the Tower of Nightmares. What? Tren laughed nervously and said that it was just his hobby, and then began to rant about the fact that demons have a lot of hobbies. But Jaewon didn't listen to him, because behind the back of this cunning-ass lion, he saw symbols in the air. Because of which he realized that all this was nonsense. Again, let's digress a little from the usual narrative, because in Manhwa it was shown in frames, but without reading Ranabe. It is not clear what exactly happened. After another defeat in a fight with a demon, Jaewon looked at the status of his characteristics, brought to the maximum limit. In fact, when he realized that Tren didn't want to kill him, the hero specifically used him as a safe training bag. And having reached the apogee of possibilities, Huang realized that he could not win. And while he was lying and thinking that the demon was lying, the hero seemed to be struck by lightning. He immediately recognized this strange feeling. And then he saw the particles and thought it was a hallucination, but as soon as he touched them, Huang realized. Small particles that have taken the form of sugar cubes and then turned into another object are nothing but components of the world. The Renaba says that the hero began to see all this because his soul moved to a new level, and the demon did not know about it. Also, it is not indicated in the Manhwa that Huang, during a conversation with Bistrin, looked at the particles behind him, which, before dissolving, flew somewhere outside the tower, which is why the hero realized that this correspondence was with someone. And when the particles turned into symbols, he read that he was being evaluated as a product. And I found out about how the tower actually works in general. You'll find out about it a little later. But in Manhwa it's shown as if Huang just took this information out of nowhere, so you know it's not a piano in the bushes. It's just that the illustrators apparently forgot to insert it or just cut it out and didn't think. We return to the moment when Bezren said that the tower is his hobby. Huang asked who the monarch that the demon mentioned during one of the conversations was. The Lionhead immediately said that the monarchs are the contemplators of the great land and those who manage to pass the game. Go there and receive support from the monarchs. By support, do you mean strength? Exactly. Your future depends on the chosen monarch. The demon began to grease up to the hero and mash that he swears by his name if Huang agrees. He will help get to the coolest monarch. That's just that he sounds like some kind of realtor sniffing a shack. In any case, the hero declared that he was ready to start the game in 10 days. For the next 9 days, he did nothing but train and prepare for something. Of course, this was observed without a trend, which could not wait for the completion of this nonsense. Because of the lying bastards, he bought this nightmare tower. He was told that it was built by the great master of the nightmare, but they did not specify that he created it when he was still a novice and it was of the first generation, not the third. Therefore, even in such a steep tower, there is no way to go out and save achievements, you can only complete training. Which this jerk Huang refuses. Okay, it's all over tomorrow. Hint before starting the game, what is ghost water? What happens when ghost water is transferred? The composition of ghost water is a kind of ghost water. New notification. The owner of the game wants to complete the training. You will return to the 294th world without loss of memory and start the game. Do you accept the offer? Yes, no. Do you remember everything I told you? Yes, thank you, this is useful information. Then rather press the button. I've been waiting for this day for so long. I'm excited to tears. The demon's face was pierced again by a lunge. Jihuan. What are you doing? I might have guessed. Now I'm going to hunt you. The hero made another deadly lunge. After the particle hallucination, it became harder for him to handle the sword. Every time he wanted to strike, he experienced a strange feeling, like waking up. When the demon's paw almost swatted Huang, he saw a flash of light, piercing which cut off his hand without tren. Is this really the feeling of life? However, the joy did not last long. The demon summoned the black iron tree from the 91st floor. How did you get me? I should have done it earlier. And what are you going to do to me? You won't finish the game without my consent, right? Yes, it is. But I've already given up trying to persuade you. Let me ask you something. What makes you think that learning has a continuation at all? The Tower of Nightmares will automatically close 100 days after the completion of training. Beztren just wanted to make sure that Huang agreed himself and protected his soul as much as possible. But since everything turned out like that, there's nothing to be done. At this moment, the hero turned to the Bistrin, or rather, to the dexterous gentleman. His name is on the Great Lands. A demon who has lived for 784 years, who has visited 128 worlds, and now continues his dirty selection of products among the walkers. When asked how he found out, Huang did not answer anything. He only asked in response, "Are you going to sell me to the Black Monarch mathematician?" The demon didn't understand how a person found out about all this, but he just read all the messages from the correspondence of this blockhead. Throwing a pathetic phrase, the hero literally cut the air around him and destroyed the boss of the 91st floor. A flash flashed from the rising cloud of dust, and a moment later, the tip of Huang's blade appeared from it. His deadly lunge wounded the shoulder without tren. The demon was drenched in sweat and immediately struck backhand, throwing the hero away from him. A blue haze came out of the creature's wound. Without a trend, I realized with horror, this guy is a super adapter who was able to jump to the next level of development. On the first day after reaching the 100th floor, Jewon began to doubt Maybe this tower is also part of a nightmare. Why can't the demon kill him? All these doubts turned into something more. And then the little pieces began to come together in a bizarre message. After all the doubts, the hero realized the essence of this world, the essence of his attack. This technique forced Tren to close in panic, and at some point, the demon screamed, "Link! All applicable restrictions have been lifted." His body transformed into its original form. The demon rushed forward and left a powerful cut on the hero's face. He was amazed by the strength of a person who mastered the second level of adaptation without even leaving the training. But he is still just a person. When the Trenless spikes hurt Huang's hand, he asked himself, is this really how it's going to end? No. He gripped the dragon sword and began attacking the enemy again and again with lunges. Huang didn't know how many times he had repeated this technique in his entire life, but his body knew the answer: 10 billion. It was on this number that the hero surpassed the human limit. After he understood the world around him, his body seemed to be collapsing. All restrictions have been lifted, his characteristics, skill, all of this has been erased forever. At that moment, she appeared on the demon's body, a white line of light. After dodging another Trenless attack, Huang began to recall all the times he had seen this thread. When his body moved along it, it all ended in victory. And now Jiewon succumbed to the impulse, giving control over the body of this line. Then it came to Bistron. This guy is not a super adapter, but an awakened one. A creature capable of becoming so strong as to endanger the Great Earth. Jiewon's strike was able to deal enough damage to the demon. Listen to me one last time, people aren't weak enough to be pawns. The Crocodiabra, left over from the devil, silently listened to Jiewon's pathetic speech, but he did not think to stop. The hero is going to go to the next floor, climb higher and higher, until the world that monarchies have created comes to an end. User information. Name unknown, title unknown, class unknown, ability unknown, skills unknown. Please stop. There is no next floor. That's just not true without Tren. Exploring the tower, Jiwon found strange inscriptions on all floors. He understood something from them. The Tower of Nightmares is just an imitation of the primordial nightmare that stands at the top of the Tree of Illusions. These were the records of the creator of this place. If the tower is at the root of the Tree of Illusions, then the tree has a trunk. If Jiewon breaks through to the top, the ice dragon sword glowed with incredible energy, and a powerful beam from a crushing lunge rushed upwards. The system. The tutorial is temporarily closed. Loading. A download error was detected. The download is not completed. Search for the walkers of the Tower of Nightmare. The belt? No walkers detected. Clearing the game failed. The tutorial is completed. Tropical vegetation and bright sun. The hot sun scorching directly on the hero. Jiewon finally found it. Huge horned wolves surrounded Jiewon. The bravest of them took the first step and rushed to the prey. One small lunge, and the beast was pierced through. Immediately after that, a huge shadow hung over the hero. It was a Peterhorn giant monster that with one step created a mini crater on Earth. A small lunge at such a monster would clearly not be enough. Seizing the blade more comfortably, Jiewon performed a normal lunge and tore the monster apart. After which he noticed the glow of particles around the horns and calmly collected them from the corpse. The monsters here are kind of weak. The hero has been wandering through the rainforest for a month and has not met anyone stronger. Suddenly, Wang heard a noise. He was noticed by strange beetle-like creatures. One of them shouted something in his own language. Thanks to doubt, the hero made out the words man and rock. Yes, that's right, he's a man, and these are horns. Jiewon offered to exchange a couple of them for information, but instead of answering, he was attacked. For someone who had been fighting a dragon for 15 years, it was not difficult to dodge such attacks. In the end, patience ran out, and the hero just killed everyone. Well, not really. Huang still left the language in order to ask where he is. To get the cockroach to talk, he grabbed him by the antennae on his head. The humanoid screamed, but did not give any clear information. After saying something about chaos, the greenskin bit off his tongue and just died. He did it with such determination that Jiewon even respected this species, and therefore the hero buried his mustache. Also, Huang searched their bodies for the presence of useful things. One of the victims had a small backpack of measurements, something like the inventory of the system. It just stopped working for some reason. That demon asshole told me that the system interface is used everywhere on the Great Earth. Maybe it's because Jiwon's body literally collapsed, and was recreated anew during the battle with the Bistron. Well, not the point, the hero's doubts, thanks to which he sees particles, shows information about objects, as well as the assessment. Hence Huang learned that these beetles had soul stones with them that increased spiritual energy. Maybe they're local jewelers. The backpack, by the way, was already completely packed, but there was plenty of good left. The hero would not like to leave everything here. As soon as he said that, the dragon sword began to make strange noises. As soon as Huang took it in his hands, something like a dragon's spiritual mouth grew out of the blade, which devoured everything. While the sword was eating, it seemed to become stronger, judging by the way energy began to flow out of it. But this is only the assumption of the hero. Among the junk that the blade didn't devour, there was also a map, with the help of doubt. Huang was able to read the words of the Tree of Illusions chaos on it. The fucking demon didn't say anything about it. Somewhere in the rainforest, a group of people were hunting one-horned wolves. The red-haired beauty, realizing that no one was watching her, threw a dagger and hit the leader's leg. Oh well, she accidentally did it, really. The man bared his teeth, but decided to let everything down because of her cute face. And then this fool seemed to intentionally hurt the two-horned and still apologetically began to run away from him. Jiwan was watching all this from the side and did not understand how such idiots could even pass the Tower of Nightmares and get here. The leader of the group began to apply the skill when suddenly a dagger was thrust into his ear. Pretty woman accidentally did it again, really. You bitch. What did that bastard just say? She just wanted to help. That's just from her help, they're all going to die now. Realizing that this was true, the hero jumped off the cliff and killed the wolf with a small lunge. Blood sprinkled the man's face, and in the rising cloud of dust, he saw a glowing sword, but Jiwon did not miss the chance to stand in a pretentious pose. After a while, the hero joined the group and even gave them the loot from the wolf he killed. Along the way, Kong Hong, that was the name of the dork with dreadlocks, bombarded the stranger with questions. You were just passing by. Yes. Don't you even know the local language? Yes. It's very strange. The language barrier is a rarity in this place. The red-haired one was watching Jaewon all the time. He was just passing by, of course. He killed the two-horned one without even using the skill. And the beauty can't even use an exclusive killer skill on him, an accurate assessment. The system constantly writes that it is impossible to search for information, but according to spiritual strength, this guy is definitely not an adapter. Okay, there wasn't. The beauty turned to Huang in a whisper. There aren't many guys in the chaos who can kill a two-horned one with one blow. So let him tell who he is and where he comes from. That's just the hero did not understand what chaos is, which is why the red-haired woman fell into a stupor and then went berserk. Is he on a prank? Well, I don't think so. Damn, or maybe she just uses too complicated words. Dybbuk doesn't know the language well. Then there is a scene in Renaba where the girl tried to explain clearly what she wants from the hero and showed the window of her system. But instead of the name and clan, she demonstrated the parameters of her body, including breast size, height and weight, which made her very embarrassed. Huang replied that he understood her question, who is he and from where? But his former life lost its meaning after coming to the tower. Even though he was able to find new friends there, however, after leaving the training, the memories of them became something of an illusion. Most likely, now all of Jiwon's friends live on Earth and do not even know who he is, so the hero decided to say that he simply does not remember. Ah, clearly amnesia. Did he really think that someone would fall for such a stupid excuse? Amnesia only happens here for those who have passed the abyss and returned to chaos. While the beauty was crucifying, Jaewon heard that his sword was hungry, so he took out a blade that took the shape of a dragon's face. As soon as the red-haired woman saw it, she realized that it was a weapon of the spirit. If you feed such a sword, it becomes stronger. This guy is not strong, he just has a cool sword. And he's also very stupid, since he showed such a valuable thing in front of everyone. Now those Debbuks will definitely want to kill a stranger. In fact, the beauty had a task to kill, but it was impossible to act with her own hands, so as not to worry that she took a job on the side. Stop. It seems that the red-haired one has an idea. She turned to the hero with the help of the whisper skill, transmitting her thoughts to him, and wanted to offer something. The beauty's name was Mino. She told about the chaos, as well as about her companions bastards from the Red Fox clan, who hunt adapters. In short, Mino wanted Jaewon to kill them, and if he has any doubts, then let him wait until night. When it got dark, Kanhin suggested setting up camp, because it's too dangerous to move around in the dark. The Red Foxes gathered around the campfire, and Jaewon lay down away from them and began to use doubt, with the help of which he read the messages that the Debbuks sent to each other through a whisper. They discussed that the hero has little spiritual power, which means he does not even have an adapter. In any case, the victory over the two-horned is the merit of a cool sword. Also from their conversation, Javan was convinced that he was not on the Great Earth. Chaos is the trunk of the tree illusions, the tower is its roots, and the branches are the abyss. Well, apparently these assholes decided to kill Juen and Zack, so we'll have to play along with Mina a little. After some time, several unknown people ran through the forest. The beauty got out of the bushes and ordered the hero to get ready. Debiki called for reinforcements. Why was he having fun? Reinforcements are coming, didn't you hear? Let the sword get out. Oh, that's the one. Jawan handed over the blade, one of the sentries asked. By this time, the couple had already been surrounded by a crowd. Mina grinned. Because of this moron, she will have to reveal herself. In fact, Jawan is far from stupid. He gave up the sword only because he wanted to see what a beauty is capable of. As soon as the three henchmen rushed into battle, the red-haired woman threw two daggers that stuck into the foreheads of the freaks. She hit the third one right on the jaw with her heel, and then intercepted the dagger and finished it off with one throw. With a smile, the beauty apologized for throwing the dagger too hard. She just got angry. Blades began to circle around Min, exuding a purple glow. In vain these guys decided to attack. Yes, Kanhan suspected when this bitch accidentally set monsters on them, but now there is no doubt this is a witch of carnage. The geek wanted to know who ordered it, but it didn't matter. They killed a lot of adapters, and there are a lot of people in the chaos who want red faces dead. As a result of mutual insults and exchanges of blows, the blockhead guessed that it was not the dark forest that took up the order, but Minu personally, so it means Callum. Okay, enough talking. Even with the sword of the spirit, Kanhan cannot cope. Yeah, that's why he prepared. Mina glanced around. There are only 30, no, about 40 opponents. Kanghen brought all this crowd to deal with the Witch of the Massacre and the guy who defeated the two-horned with one blow. Although, if he had known that Huang would be stupid and would give up the weapon himself, he would not have been crucified. I even had to call the master. Svetka jumped a black fox. This is one of the masters of the clan, who was at the stage of the third adaptation. Looking at this mutant, even Minu was not sure that she could cope with him, and therefore the beauty turned to Javan. She is of course strong, but she will not be able to protect him. After these words, Mina threw the hero a stone similar to the regression artifact from the Tower of Nightmares, but in fact, it is a displacement stone. With its help you can be in the nearest citadel. Beauty only had one, so let Huang get out. The hero clutched a stone in his hands, which reminded him of the hated regression artifact. I wonder if Yunwan had the same one back then, would he be with Huang now? Gathering his thoughts, the hero asked Mino if she could go back to the past, would she do it? What kind of crazy question is this at such a moment? Of course. No. Mina didn't have the easiest life, but if she dies, it's only today. She doesn't need to go back to the past. Hearing this, Huang put his hand on the beauty's shoulder, and then pushed her aside. She's not going to die today. Taking off, the hero literally crushed the ground under him, and killed two opponents in less than a second. Kill him, stupid. The bastards who used the skills rushed to attack, only they were too slow. Jewan, as if playing, jumped from enemy to enemy, punching them even without a small lunge, killing with one blow. Blackface blocked the hero's attack, but his hand just couldn't stand it and Huang's blade pierced the arrogant jerk's chest. White blood flooded Kangan's face, and the hero slowly walked towards him. Obasrish knelt down, and presented the sword back to its owner. The rest of the bipods began to run away, but as soon as the dragon sword was in Huang's hand, hopes for salvation collapsed. A small lunge executed with this blade pierced everything in its path, including cowards who escaped from the battlefield. Watching this, Min had only one question spinning in his head. How? She thought Huang was just a fool, naive and careless, to have given up his sword so recklessly. But the beauty was wrong, he was just insanely strong. The hero was distracted by Min's voice. The stunned girl asked, "Who is he? Who am I? Have you really forgotten?" The beauty grimaced, not understanding what he was talking about. Oh, so she lost her memory too. Huang thought he was the only one with a problem here. The girl was furious. If he's so smart, then let him give the stone of return. Ah, that's it, Huang lost it. Does he even know how much this thing costs? A little later, the hero lit a fire. For some reason, watching the night sky, he felt so calm. Even though his pig's mouth was slurping, Emina did nothing but yell while she was trying to find the stone of return. Huang turned to the beauty again regarding that question. In general, he is a human being. Mina is also human, right? Well, yes, why? Then that's enough. Looking at Huang's face, Mina saw how lonely this guy was. Did he really think so? Is being human enough for him already? The next morning, Mina asked if Jiwan seriously didn't remember anything about chaos or the Great Earth. Having received an affirmative answer, the beauty drooped. She even envies him. Everyone who got here would also like to forget it. Speaking of which, how did Minu end up in chaos? The girl stopped abruptly. Very soon, Huang will know the answer to this question, and then he will regret asking it. Gorgon Citadel. The couple finally reached the city, before entering which the hero noticed something familiar. This structure looks like a place of summoning from the first floor. As soon as Jiwon thought about it, the platform lit up, and naked people appeared on it. Someone was screaming, someone was sobbing, and someone was choking. Everyone had different facial expressions, but they displayed one emotion that the hero saw very often. Mina asked, now Tawan understood how she got here. If so, then don't let anyone else ask this question. And by the way, welcome to the world of the dead. Chaos? A small digression. Jaewon got into the world of the dead because he broke out of training and did not pass the real game. That is, now he is essentially just a soul, and since he broke the tower, his 294th world is in perfect order. And, well, everyone here has white blood because they are not alive, and if they die, then the soul will become food for the Tree of Illusions. While Minu and Huang were chatting, guards came out to the newcomers with cloths. The chief ordered the people to throw them on themselves and line up in one place. This bearded man's name was James, and it turns out Mino knows him well, so she asked him to skip for old friendship. That's just recently requires a certificate from everyone. Well, that stupid card from Big Brother. The beauty whispered to Huang if he had one, and since the answer was obvious, Mina grinned. And then turned to James in the same whisper. Here's the thing, she forgot her certificate. Maybe it will be possible to solve the issue with a two-horned horn. The lieutenant immediately hid the jewel in his bosom and allowed the beauty to pass, but as for her friend, he also needs a certificate. Mina sent a whisper to the hero so that he would start begging her for help, and then everything would be fine. That's just the hero pulled his hand to his belt. Does he want to kill the guards? No, it's nonsense. So that Jaewon could just kill the guards. Wait, that's exactly what he's going to do. The beauty immediately shielded her companion with her back so that he would not do anything stupid. But they were all distracted by a velvety voice. We're finished, Mino thought. The guards immediately lined up, because the captain of the Northern Passage, who was nicknamed Stubborn Carlton, the most incorruptible guard in all the chaos, came to them. He immediately ordered James to report the situation. After listening to everything that happened, Carlton summed up. This person wants to pass without a certificate, right? But that's out of the question. And why is that? Jaewon asked uncomprehendingly. This is written in the 4th paragraph of the 27th article of the Code of Visits to the Citadel of Gorgon. As soon as a loud voice announced the article, all the guards and Mina knelt down, and they turned out to be like spiritual hoops. However, the hero immediately released the beauty, but this skill did not affect him at all. Okay, and what do they say in this certificate? Name, connection with clans, information about class and skills, health status, spiritual damage, and... well, then Huang doesn't need a certificate. He's not going to confirm his identity. This finally enraged Carlton, and he read the law again, but this time it was silver shackles. The spiritual chain rushed to Jaewon, and then wrapped around his body, after which it simply dissolved. The guards almost shit themselves. Even stage 3 adapters can't resist this skill, and Carlton seems to have begun to understand that the shackles work only out of spite. If they're gone, it means this guy. The hero interrupted the handsome man's thoughts and asked if he could act like Mino. The memory of how she had bribed the lieutenant immediately surfaced in the girl's head. James also understood what the hero was talking about. By this time, Jaewon had already managed to throw an artifact to Carlton, which he easily caught. Take this and let me pass. James, trying to cover his ass, yelled that the captain's bribe was punishable by death and wanted to personally kill the criminal. But only Carlton stopped the lieutenant. So this guy's name is Jaewon, right? He had been waiting for a long time. The messenger of the Greens. A couple of minutes later, the mine was checked for damage, and it turned out that it was infected by 15%. Carlton started lecturing her, but she knew what to do. Then the hero asked the medicine-chewing beauty, what kind of damage is this? It's simple, it's a disease that everyone here is infected with. Over time, souls become polluted, and as soon as the damage reaches its peak, it's better not to know what happens next. That is why horns are so highly valued in chaos. They are used to make medicines that everyone needs. When the explanations were over, Carlton said it was time to check on Jawon. A special artifact opened the eye and for the detective hero, and then gave an error. Spiritual corruption was not detected. James and the captain stared at the screen. 0%. After that, Carlton smiled and took the hero's hand, simultaneously putting a bribe in it, in the sense of a stone. It's not worth giving such things to the Green Envoy, except that Jawon is not an envoy. Who did he say there? Smiling, the captain replied that he knew this and just let a couple into town. However, James couldn't figure out why. Instead of answering, Carlton took off his glove. His hand was infected with corruption, all because of the Soul Stone. Only the Green Clan is able to interact with these artifacts without harm to themselves, as well as Jawon. Although he clearly does not belong to this clan. In addition, the device for measuring damage cannot be mistaken. His soul is cleaner than that of any person in chaos. It doesn't matter if this guy is a messenger or not, the Citadel will decide what to do with him. Are you talking about the Master's illness? James asked tensely, but instead of answering, Carlton asked the question himself. What did Jawon say about a bribe? At the same time, the couple was walking through the city, in the streets of which you can't figure it out. The hero of course has a guide, but the mine is of little use now. After Carlton yelled at her with his law, she started behaving like a zombie. The strangest thing is that the captain didn't arrest the beauty just because Huang asked him not to. Anyway, along the way, the hero asked the locals where to find a blacksmith who specializes in swords. This conversation was overheard by some muddy type, and then he noticed the stranger's obviously precious blade. Well, after some time, Mina came to her senses, and if so, the hero with a clear conscience decided to leave her. The beauty immediately began to apologize. She just joked then alas. However, Huang was adamant and cold, then Mina would only get in the way. When the hero was about to leave, the red-haired woman got mad and ran after him. The fool doesn't even know where to go. Okay, Huang needs to find the nightmare. If Mina knows, she can see him off. Well, of course he knows, there is one forge here. Oh great, just need to be done for the dragon blade. But first, Huang stopped and looked at the group of hooligans who had come to his soul. Mino, in a very obscene form, asked the gentleman to leave. It enraged their youngest. He does not like when people swear. And by the way, this road is paid. So wait, in the sense of the youngest. The GOP company started threatening again, but the beauty only cared that why the fuck did they call this big guy Junior? Unable to stand the profanity, the little one took off from his seat and shouted. It is necessary to destroy the motherfuckers. Swung the axe. A lightning flash flashed next to Mino's face, and in the next second, the big man decided to leave. And the building behind him lost part of the roof. How this varmint infuriates. If they wanted to fight, then let them attack faster. Contrary to common sense, instead of running away, the men shouted that they would avenge their brother. And in general began to carry some nonsense. The trio boldly rushed at the enemy and, well, in general, the result was expected. Mino asked if Jiwon's other skills were as strong as this lunge. From other skills, it is not a small lunge, a normal lunge, and a big one. Well, it doesn't matter why Huang missed in the first attack, didn't calculate the strength or what. In fact, the hero deliberately aimed at the roof. He just noticed someone with an invisibility skill there and decided to scare him. Did he seriously rattle the roof just for the sake of scaring a person? Okay, never mind. After a while, Minu led Jawon to the Iron Twilight. This is the largest forge in the world, with the best blacksmiths. Naveen greeted the couple and said that the order would have to wait a couple of days. The fact is that there are few staff, today only the deputy director, but he is very busy. Now the students with their mouths open looked at the real masterpiece, the blade of the horn of 4 horns. It remains only to add a stone to the handle, and it will be completed. Young people immediately began to ask for this job. Their mentor Michael, who holds the position of deputy director, asked how confident they were in their abilities. Although okay, the guys have a great attitude, so everyone can try. If someone copes with the task, he will take his position for 1 day. But as expected, the guys were too weak and inexperienced. It even upset Michael. At that moment, he was distracted from the old man's lamentations by the noise outside. The hero came into the forge and said he wanted to try. In principle, the blacksmith was not against it, but it is unlikely that this beggar. Before Michael could finish speaking, Jaewon's finger touched the hilt, and there was a deafening blow. And when the dust settled, the hero was already twisting the dagger on his index finger. It turns out that he is now the deputy director for the whole day. That's just the blade cracked at that moment, and then completely collapsed. You. Yes, I love you now. Do you have any idea how much this pie costs? Scratching his head, the hero apologized, but for some reason, this did not calm Michael down much. He grabbed Javan by the breasts and began to run over. Come on, why did he break up? Now the hero will reimburse him for everything. He reached into his bag and took out a rock Peterogov wolf. Even the stooges and the students immediately recognized this rare material. As soon as he got into Michael's hands, the old blacksmith immediately began to address Huang as a dear, respected buyer. But what is he talking about? Now the hero is the deputy director. Michael ordered the forge to be closed, and the students immediately obeyed. The blacksmith escorted Huang to the equipment and allowed him to use anything. He was haunted by only one question: where did this guy get the rock hornick? Like where? Did you get it yourself? What a stupid question. By the way, Jiwon will need Michael's help. He needs to make a scabbard, and he has never forged them yet. Stop. A scabbard. If a guy wants to use a rock harnick for a scabbard, then how cool is his sword? The hero without further ado handed it to the bearded man, and he became joyful like a child. It's a duplicate of the dragon sword, exactly like one of the nightmares forged. But still, using a horn for a scabbard is somehow too much. As soon as Michael said this, the blade seemed to jump out of his hands and began to devour the material. While the pieces were flying at him, the old one realized that this was a spirit weapon, and then noticed that the sword was evolving. Judging by the shape change, this is a macro illusion. He will need to choose a new name, as the old one will be erased. Damn, he can call him a pig. He eats everything that is bad. When the hero got another lesson, Michael wanted to ask where he came from, but immediately realized that Gornik had 5 of them. Okay, since the foreplay was over, then Quan suggested starting work. Michael would use his skill, and the hero would use force. And as for the form, let an experienced blacksmith decide for himself somehow. He is the master here. Upon hearing this, Michael promised to show everything he was capable of. At the same time, Citadel Gorgon, the main manager of the Citadel, Jurgen Zieber, was informed about Jewon. Or rather the lack of information. The fact is that the invisible man, who was sent to spy, did not notice the attack of this guy and passed out. So he could not follow further. Kyber wondered if this Huang was even in the 5th stage of adaptation. All right, let's get all the employees up and search the Citadel. As soon as the invisible man left the office, Jurgen sighed bitterly, and then hit the table in despair. The owner has to wait a little longer, if only he could hold out. A day had passed since arriving at the forge. Mina had gone on business, and now an old hologram was showing in the bar. Unfortunately, the program was coming to an end, but finally the pretty presenter decided to show what everyone had already seen, but still want to reconsider. This is an incredible single sweep of the 99th floor. The product's face is blurred so that buyers don't figure it out. But this guy is just great. Yeah, sure. Local O'Briggans did not believe that this record was real at all. It is said that the cultivator of that tower cheated and then ran away altogether without even completing normal training. Although they don't give a shit about it at all, they're dead. If only they could get fruit, come back to life. However, now they will be satisfied with a mug of excellent ale. The conversations of the drunkard were interrupted by a broken door. Mino came into the bar. The beauty immediately attracted all male glances. When she sat down at the counter. Hey, baby, sorry about this, like this. Audacity. Come on, he's gone to the point, Mina growled angrily. Understood, ma'am, I'm leaving now. Now the girl was in a very bad mood, so much so that in just an hour she got drunk and started complaining about Javan. The owner of the bar, Cleo, noticed that the girl had already had too much. By the way, this aunt is from Mino's home world. They passed the tower together with her and went to the Great Land. And then Cleo died along with the red-haired one, of course through her fault. In short, Mina is very close to Cleo, it must be remembered. In general, the beauty began to talk about how this Jaewon infuriates her, destroys everything in his path, and uses the sword as he pleases, as if he doesn't care about the laws. He also constantly says all sorts of crap. When he killed Gabari, Mina asked Huang to think for a second about what he was doing. To which the hero replied that everyone here is still not people, but the dead. Because of him, Mina feels like a nobody. This jerk didn't even tell me why he was looking for a nightmare, he just answered coldly. You wouldn't understand. The beauty got so mad that Cleo started stroking her on the head to calm her down. And then said that it was better for Minnie to stay away from this guy, otherwise she might die. Before the red-haired woman could ask what her aunt meant, a message flew to her. This package belonged to Captain Carlton himself, and why would this turkey send her letters? While Mino was thinking about this, a rude voice rang out. You're the witch of the massacre. The beauty took out a dagger, but her hand was immediately grabbed by someone very strong. Of course, he understood that he was a little rude, but he decided to leave the formalities for later. This is a very important matter. Another tool broke Oruk. That's it, Michael's exhausted. It's too difficult for his level. The problem is not the level, Huang said and put his hand over his eyes. As soon as the hero removed it, the blacksmith's pupils lit up. He looked down and saw how the rock began to boil, and then this muck seemed to go berserk. He tried to rub his eyes, as he thought it was a hallucination or a dream, but when he lifted his eyelids, he saw a huge monster. And he was trying to process this monster with his puny skill. The Hulk hit the floor and destroyed it. If you're going to help, then do it properly. Only Michael fell into a stupor because of fear. That's right, he's sleeping now. It's unreal, we need to wake up. With these thoughts, the blacksmith ran outside, and when he opened the door, he saw his students. They were all rotten corpses. What the hell? Meanwhile, Jaewon pounced on the monster and drove a chisel into it. He really fought with the horn, and did it so casually, as if playfully. Michael just yelled, "Is this really what the world looks like?" After some time, the horn was split. All this battle took place, one might say, on a spiritual level. Jaewon only helped the blacksmith to see this world with his own eyes. Realizing his worthlessness, Michael apologized for the fact that the guest had to work with a pathetic person who did not even create a single tower. The hero said that he just needs to make a scabbard, so let him try, so he has already tried, then. Let Michael try a million more times, then everything will work out. When the old man started talking about how he really tried, he reminded Huang of his friend Jay because of the topos. Jay was the only blacksmith who had achieved a skill capable of subduing things with a 99% probability. He said that he was able to achieve this because he was not chasing 99% of success, but was trying to escape firm 1% of failure. Breaking out of his memories, Jaewon asked if Michael understood the principle of the processing skill. That's just that this question didn't make sense. It's one of the original skills of nightmares that has existed since the beginning of time. A person can't understand the origins of being. No, it's just that the old man used the skill without realizing what he was doing with it. This angered Michael a little. He stubbed out his cigarette and said with obvious irritation that the essence of the skill was strengthening the hammer and giving it spiritual power to process the horns. It sounded simple, but then why is the processing not given to those stupid people? But Jiwon is right, Michael thought. Okay, since he's so smart, maybe he knows the essence of processing himself. Actually, the hero really understood it recently. He moved his finger to the circle, and its surface began to seethe. Huang gathered the blacksmiths around him, and asked them to tell him what he was doing now. There will be a little stuffiness here, but without it it is unclear what the salt is. In short, all people in chaos look at the world through skills and the system, and do not even try to understand how these skills work, limiting themselves to just a number in the status of the system window, and Huang explained to the blockheads. For a very long time and persistently, so that they would look at his finger without skills, purely with their own eyes, and realize the essence of what he does. As a result, Michael saw the particles into which the hero divided the rock. Huang also explained to the old one that the problem is not in him, but in the world itself. And through a series of mental anguish about his limitations, Michael was finally able to see rock as it is without the help of a hero. Then the blacksmith thought, if Huang always sees the world like this, then how has he not gone crazy yet? With these thoughts and new knowledge, the blacksmith set to work, and in a day everything was finished. The hero got the things he wanted, even the sword liked them, and since he hadn't come up with a name yet, Michael asked to do it for him, so the blade became called Maverick. According to the old blacksmith, there is no more suitable name for such a weapon. At this point they had to say goodbye, but finally Michael asked the hero, "In the world you see, what do I look like?" Jiwon didn't even turn around and answered like a human. On the way, the hero stopped and asked why Minu continued to pursue him. Something had already been planned behind his back. The beauty coquettishly asked in response, how did he know? Actually, Mina wants to kill Jaewon, and what will she do after that? He will take the stone and sell it. Okay, seriously, the red-haired one bought the fool clothes, and then walks like a beggar ragamuffin. On the way, the couple started talking, and Huang said that he had learned from Michael a way to find a nightmare. You just need to get into the abyss. The girl did not understand why he did this. Even if he could return from the abyss, he would become a champion. And these guys quickly go crazy. When Jaewon said he wouldn't come back, and named his true goal, Mina froze in shock, her legs trembled. And then the girl got angry and started screaming. Who the fuck is he to do that? Jiwon does what he wants, puts a bolt on the opinion of everyone around him, stupid and stubborn, but most importantly, he does not even consider the people living here as people. Except they're all human, including Mina. Huang's gaze darkened, and he went into his thoughts. He remembered the day they met, and then Michael. But the hero was quickly distracted, because with the help of doubt, he saw a whisper that some freaks were sending the beauties. It became clear from the correspondence that they were holding someone hostage and wanted Mina to lead the hero to them. He immediately discovered the bastard who was following them. Of course, Huang could have intervened and saved the hostage, but why? They're walking corpses anyway. Corpses who sold their souls for the sake of big numbers in the system window. A hand burst into the mental barrier that Huang had built around himself. The beauty grabbed his chest and explained with a cry that she considers a man. While Minu was crucified and offended, she began to leave. Jaewon had a question in his head. Since when did he begin to see a man in a beauty? In any case, having overheard a whisper, the hero found out that those who strain his friend have a connection with one of the nightmares, and therefore decided that he should change clothes first. After a while, Mino came back to the bar. Gathering her thoughts, she opened the door. There was complete devastation inside. The thugs were holding Claire and the rest of the hard workers hostage. January, I asked why the witch came alone. Forgot about the deal. Is he stupid? Where did this jerk see a witch who keeps her word? Besides, Jaewon won't come here. Because he wants to destroy this world. With these words, the beauty threw her daggers, and January I called the shadows that tried to kill Mina. Bouncing back, she diffused the skill, but as soon as her heel hit the floor, the bastard sent a double cut into her. The beauty did not have time to dodge and took him on the block. Her clothes were torn in several places. Jen, I've heard that the girls from the Black Forest are hot as hell, so if the witch doesn't want to be led around before she dies, then let her bring this guy here. Minu tried to threaten that the Dark Forest would find them, but they couldn't do anything in Gorgon. When they get to this bar, the red-haired woman and this ant will be lying dead and naked. Seeing how the bastard grabbed Claire, the beauty got angry and launched the Seven Blades Akaram skill, which January I just smashed. Well, that's it, the witch jumped up. Mino collapsed to her knees, her eyes starting to close. And why, even at such a moment, is she thinking about Jaewon? He asked if Minu would have returned to the past. Now the beauty would like to do it and go after Huang. Maybe then she could see how he would destroy this fucking world. A light flashed behind the girl, and then a lightning flash crashed into the bastard's sword. A hero came into the bar. Minus asked, but what about the destruction of the world? Why did you come running to save her? Jaewon threw a bag of clothes to the beauty. They did not fit him in size, so he came to return it. And the geeks were glad that their target with the soul stone came here by herself, but soon they will regret it. Where is it located? Not really. Bring the nightmare here, you assholes.